Welcome back. President Biden asking Congress now to suspend the federal gas tax, which would lower the price of gas 18 cents a gallon for 3 months. Biden is also asking oil companies and gas stations themselves to lower prices.
For more, let's bring in former EPA Chief of Staff and Senior Policy Fellow at Independent Women's Forum, Mandy Gunasekara. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Great to be with you.
Of course, Mandy, you wrote an op-ed on the gas tax holiday. Would a 3-month holiday from the 18 cents per gallon federal gas tax make any notable difference for Americans?
The answer is no. The federal gas tax holiday is nothing more than a political gimmick, to quote President Biden's former boss, President Obama. It is not a real solution. It could actually exacerbate the problem by making demand go up in the short term and then exacerbating the problem that we don't have enough supply to meet existing demand. And that's because this administration from day one has instituted an all-out assault on U.S. oil and gas production. So we have limited supply, there's increasing demand, and a federal gas tax holiday would just make that worse. And it would be 3 months of a slight reprieve, but then gas prices would likely go up. I was reading estimates this morning. They're likely to hover around $6 a gallon on average, and it could be even worse after something like the federal gas tax holiday.
Yeah, and by the way, today the national average is $4.94 a gallon, so take 18 cents off that, we're looking at $4.76 a gallon. That's, when you're talking about $5 a gallon, it makes no difference for anyone. Really, it makes no difference at the pump because prices are so high, double what they were Inauguration Day. Let's play that soundbite. This is from Barack Obama, and it's important to note this is 2008, before he became president. So it's language like this that got him elected. Take a listen.
Myself and Senator Clinton and John McCain have been in a debate about the so-called gas tax holiday. At best, this is a plan that would save you pennies a day for the summer months. That is, unless gas prices are raised to fill in the gap, which is just what happened in Illinois when we tried this a few years ago. Just this morning, there was an article in the paper about how the real beneficiaries of this tax holiday would be the oil companies, who would walk away with billions more in profits.
Why not, Mandy, use something, for example, I used to work in Florida, so we covered a lot of hurricanes down there. There's something called the Jones Act, which is used after hurricanes. Basically, it gives refineries the green light to produce as much as possible so they can surge gas to certain areas that have been affected by hurricanes. Why not do something like that?
Well, that's a really good point. There are a lot of tangible options if the president were actually interested in delivering serious solutions to provide relief to the American people. You can change up the logistics via something like the Jones Act. You could greenlight pipelines like the Keystone XL that is important for moving around the molecules that we consume every day. He could lift moratoriums that he's imposed all around the country to inhibit the ability of U.S. oil and gas workers to do what they do best, which is to produce and deliver affordable, reliable energy to the American people. So there are a range of tangible options well within his control to actually turn on to provide some meaningful relief. The problem is he's not interested in actually delivering relief because high gas prices as a part of the Green New Deal policies he's been working to implement from day one. It's all a part of the plan because the only way you make a $55,000 electric vehicle car seem reasonable is you make the price of gas skyrocket.
Yeah. Mandy, Exxon did respond when President Biden sent that letter last week. They responded by saying, look, we have solutions, just as Rob mentioned, that hurricane story, that they just let us do what we need to do and we can make it happen. This gas tax, though, we're not sure if we're even going to see this because there's some Democrats that aren't on board with it. Nancy Pelosi says she's not really sure about it. Another reason they're apprehensive is because this gas tax does help with infrastructure projects. So how would the government fund infrastructure projects if this tax goes away for the next 3 months?
Well, that's a huge problem, too. The 3-month gas tax, I've seen estimates that it would cut into that important funding to the tune of about $10 billion. And this goes into road repairs, bridge repairs. That's the type of funding that we actually need. So it's not a real solution. It's going to cause more problems in the long run. And I'm not surprised that there's some consternation on both Republicans and Democrats. But let's be clear. We are here because President Biden is trying to push a fantastical Green New Deal policy. And the majority of Democrats that control the House and the Senate, they are on board with this, which is causing harm to the American people.
Yeah.
Instead, Instead, they should be looking to work with Republicans that have come up with alternative plans that would actually provide meaningful relief.
No, I agree. And it's so basically Joe Biden's one achievement, you could say, is the infrastructure bill, which was aimed at repairing roads and bridges nationwide. By utilizing the gas tax, we would take away money from those very projects. You're the former chief of staff at the EPA. Yesterday, Joe Biden said that he's thinking about the Defense Production Act to try and bring prices down. How would that even work?
Well, that's a good question. Joe Biden, what we see is he'll say a lot of things that he doesn't either understand or doesn't really mean substantively. Imposing something like the Defense Production Act, that is something that should be reserved for actual wartime situations. When we, the United States, are at war, there's no actual war going on upon which the United States is actively and directly involved. Now, Joe Biden has a political problem that he's trying to address, but it doesn't justify the use of the Defense Production Act to try and procure resources to come back to the United States. The real solution is he needs to look to the U.S. oil and gas industry and unleash them. They know how to deliver affordable, reliable, and environmentally friendly resources to the American public. We did it in the Trump administration. We just need the Biden administration to actually trust them to do what they do best and provide relief to the American people.
Absolutely. Mandy Gunasekara, great having you back on this morning. We appreciate it. Good to see you.
Thanks for having me.
All right.